Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I had several people send me this story, including somebody who just signed the email B, as in the letter B. B. B23. No. So 8 brand new Corvettes vanish from Kentucky manufacturing plant, and a man with Ohio tags is being sought who fled the scene. Dylan Levan wrote this to the Associated Press, and it's not that big of a story, but I'm always fascinated by the idea about people who steal cars directly from the manufacturers. I had a client years ago who worked for one of the big three, and I go, "What do you do?" And he goes, "I'm in security." And I thought he meant I oversaw, how some plant might, keep strangers out or something. And he goes, "No," he goes, "I'm in charge of trying to prevent and or track down cars being stolen from our plants." And it was a big deal. And I've heard of all kinds of stories where the car gets assembled here, it's supposed to go to a lot over here and then be shipped out, and somehow they disappear between here and here, or they disappear from here, okay? But this case, thieves took 8 Corvettes from the lot of a Kentucky automobile plant where the cars are built, but officers recovered the vehicles and made an arrest. But this is a weird situation because the Corvettes are built in Bowling Green, and everyone knows that. And the fact that somebody actually went there and stole 8 Corvettes. So the cars were taken from the GM Bowling Green assembly plant in southern Kentucky, the home of the Chevrolet Corvette since the early 1980s. The 8 cars were valued at $1.2 million. Police said the thieves cut a fence at the plant to get the cars out. A man later arrested and charged with the theft of 3 cars said while being booked into the jail that if he would have made it back to Michigan, I would have been paid big, according to a police report. Back to Michigan. I wonder if I know him. The first car was located Saturday when a woman at an apartment complex called police to say she saw a man park a new Corvette that had stickers on it at the complex and then walk away. Now, we don't know if that's merely window stickers or those are the stickers they put on cars for transport. You'll often see a car hauler going down the road, and the cars are covered with stuff. And it could be that that's what she's talking about, and that would appear out of place if you had a car that had that stuff on it that was designed for transport. Police contacted the manager of the assembly plant who checked the inventory and then reported that 8 Corvettes were indeed missing, according to a Bowling Green police report. So somebody cuts a fence and gets 8 cars out, and they don't know that it happened until somebody calls and goes, "Hey, you guys missing cars?" Which makes me wonder about the security they got there. Because the cars are quite valuable. You'd think they'd have some kind of, system where people would check, the fences to see if they're still intact from time to time. Police later located 4 more Corvettes at different locations. The last 3 were found after officers received a call from a transport driver who said he was asked to come to a location to pick up an older model Corvette to transport it to Michigan. When the driver arrived, he saw 3 brand new 2025 Corvettes and told police the 2 men trying to move them were in a hurry. And so he suspected something was wrong because they said, "We got 1 old Corvette." It turns out to be 3 new Corvettes. And he said that he also noticed damage on the bottom of the cars and called the transaction weird. Now, the beautiful part about this is that if you're a conscientious car hauler, and I actually know people who do this for a living. I actually know a guy who drives one of these car haulers for a living, okay? And you better believe they check the cars before they go on the hauler. Because if the car's all screwed up and they put it on the hauler and they bring it someplace, person at that end's going to go, "Hey, this thing was in perfect condition back there." And so I've also been involved in litigation before involving vehicles being hurt on car haulers. So when police arrived, they detained a 21-year-old man after a chase and charged him with receiving stolen property, fleeing arrest, and engaging with organized crime. Another man fled in a Jeep with Ohio tags, police said. Bowling Green Police Public Information Officer Ronnie Ward said Tuesday that no other arrests have been made, but they are looking for other people, obviously, presumably to get 8 brand new Corvettes driven out of there. The simplest way to do that would be with 8 people. But I could be wrong on that. However, it sounds like it was, in essence, one of them smash and grabs almost. And there have been a lot of those in the Detroit area. A couple of years ago, there was like a rash of them, as they say. And there were storage lots where cars were being stored after they were assembled, getting ready to be shipped to various parts around the country to try to sell them. And people would get into the storage yard and then take one of the vehicles and use it to smash through the front gates. And they would grab a bunch of other vehicles and take off in them. So by the time the police arrived, there's one semi-wrecked vehicle outside the gates, 2 broken gates, and then a bunch of vehicles are gone. And that happened a whole bunch of times. And I know that there was also a situation in a different county, and this is, I'm from Michigan, and in southeastern Michigan is Detroit, the Motor City. And so you've heard that there's a large presence of GM, Ford, and Chrysler in southeastern Michigan. So the situation with them smashing through the front gates and doing that, those were Chrysler vehicles, Stellantis vehicles. I've also heard of situations where Ford Motor Company vehicles were being assembled and being driven to a lot where they were then distributed, and they would not be on the lot when it came time to distribute them. And the question is, did they disappear while being driven to the lot, or did they disappear once they got to the lot? And like I said, my friend who worked for the big 3 companies doing security, he was in charge of the company's side of the investigation of trying to solve a situation like that one. It wasn't with Ford, though. It was with one of the other 2 companies. But this gets you back to, you've got a brand new, stolen 2025 Corvette. What are you going to do with it? Well, you can't plate it that easily, because if you want to do that, you're going to need a title and paperwork for it, which you probably don't have. And it's been reported stolen. So if you go someplace, go, here's my vehicle, I want plates for it, there's a chance that VIN's been flagged as something that would indicate that there's problems with that. Now, you could take the vehicle and chop it up as in a chop shop. That could be done also. Problem, of course, there is that you're not going to get a whole lot of money for it, and there's effort involved in chopping it up, and now you're selling stolen parts, which, of course, you can't advertise those as easily as you could, because some of the parts bear VINs, and if they got VINs on them that indicate they came off a stolen vehicle, that could be traced back to you as well. We could consider the fact that I did a video about a week ago, 2 weeks ago maybe, about cloned VINs. And that is where somebody would go and say, find a 2025 Corvette, I don't know, in Canada, if there is one there yet, get the VIN off of it, and then get a different tag for it, and go that route, and then there'd be a vehicle in America driving around with the same VIN as a vehicle in Canada. My understanding is, and I've spoken to a lot of people about this, is that in that situation, it might not get flagged right away. Now, it might get flagged down the road, but if you had that VIN with the cloned VIN tag and a title for it, and you sold it, and you got your money, and you skedaddled, well, so I'm really curious to know what these people are planning on doing with this. But the amazing thing to me is that they got in, somehow got through a fence, and removed 8 Corvettes, and the only way that they found out they were missing was the police called them and said, hey, are you guys missing some Corvettes? Hang on, let's check. Yeah, we are. Heck of a security system. Now, I'm not making fun of Corvettes. I actually like the new Corvettes. But you'll recall that there was also a situation a few years ago where a sinkhole swallowed up a bunch of Corvettes down there. My understanding is they recovered the Corvettes out of the sinkhole, fixed the sinkhole, and fixed the museum the cars were in, and everything is fine now. But it's just a crazy story. But yeah, they've been building them Corvettes there in Kentucky for a while. My understanding is a very, very cool operation. But 8 brand new Corvettes vanished from a Kentucky manufacturing plant. A man with Ohio tags is still being sought. And of course, it probably involved more than just the 2 people in the story. So Dylan Levan wrote that for the Associated Press. B sent it. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. You can, you should, and if you're brave enough to start, you will.